Today, we'll learn how to interact with FMZ and Ethereum. In the previous lesson, we introduced how to obtain the RPC node of the Goerli test network in the Web3 and set up the FMZ Docker and Exchange. We have completed the initial setup for FMZ to connect with Web3 development. In this lesson, we'll attempt to use FMZ to interact with Ethereum. In the last lesson, we mentioned the FMZ's debug tool. In this lesson, we'll continue to use the debug platform as our operating environment. Absolutely, this requires the prerequisite of deploying the Docker program and configuring the Exchange object. First, let's explain remote procedure call. It is a computer communication protocol used to send a function call request from one program to a server on another computer network, and wait for the server to return the result. In blockchain technology, RPC is widely used for communication between nodes, including Ethereum, Bitcoin, etc. Specifically, RPC converts a function call in a local computer into a request on the network by serializing the parameters and return values. It then executes the function on the remote computer and returns the result to the local computer. With RPC, it is possible to call functions on remote computers as if they were local functions, enabling computer communication across networks. For various languages and tools, there are ways to access the Ethereum RPC methods and interacting with the Ethereum network. For example, Python can use the Web3 library. JavaScript can use Web3 JS and the latest ETH.js library, and Ruby can use the ETH RB library. On FMZ, the RPC method calls are also encapsulated, and there is no need to install additional configuration libraries. These functionalities are encapsulated in the function Exchange I/O in FMZ API. The specific calling method is Exchange I/O API ETH. In the FMZ Quant trading platform, you can write strategy code to mark Ethereum RPC method calls using the Exchange I/O function. The first parameter of the Exchange I/O function is API, indicating that this call is an extension call. The second parameter is ETH, indicating that it can directly call the RPC methods available on the node server. For outputting information, we can use the log function provided by the FMZ platform. The log function can pass in multiple parameters and output them in the log area of the FMZ platform's debug tools or bot pages. In the Ethereum network, there are many RPC methods designed for interaction between nodes. Calling Ethereum RPC methods can be summarized into the following three categories. The first method is state reading. This method is used to read the state of the Ethereum network, such as getting the account balance, ETH get balance, or getting the number of transactions sent from a specific address, that is ETH get transaction count. The second is metadata retrieval. This method is used to retrieve metadata information from the blockchain, such as getting the current block height, that is ETH block number, or getting the current gas price, that is ETH gas price. The third is state writing. This method is used to write new status to the Ethereum network. Changing such status requires gas fees and usually involves signing transactions with private keys to ensure their legitimacy. For example, executing a smart contract function and writing the result to the blockchain using ETH send raw transaction. Today, let's discuss the state reading methods in RPC. Calling ETH, calling Ethereum RPC methods for state reading refers to using the API functions, also known as RPC methods provided by Ethereum to retrieve state data from the Ethereum blockchain. This includes information such as account balances, data stored in smart contracts, transaction statuses, and execution results. This state data can be queried as per the user's needs to understand the current state and historical data of the blockchain, facilitating related business development and regulatory work. Our first example of a state retrieval function is ETH get balance. The ETH get balance method in Ethereum is used to query the ETH balance of a specific address on the Ethereum network. This method requires two parameters. The first one is the address to be queried, and the second one is the tag, which is commonly set to latest, but can also be set to earliest, indicating the earliest or genesis block, or pending, used for pending transactions. Let's query the ETH wallet address of Ethereum founder Vitalik Buterin. This address is public and anyone can look it up. The known address is here. Well, we will use it as the first parameter representing the wallet address. We click Execute. And we can see the ETH balance variable value printed by the log function is a string representation of the ETH balance in hexadecimal format. Therefore, it needs to be converted to readable dimensional format. The FMZ platform has two built-in functions for data processing. The first one is BigInt, which converts a hexadecimal string into a BigInt object. The second one is BigDimensional, which converts a numerical type object into a big-dimensional object that can be used for calculations. The precision unit for ETH is 1 multiplied by 10 to the power of 18, where 1 ETH is equal to 10 to the power of 18 Wei. This unit is named after the renowned cryptographer Wei Dai. By performing this conversion, we can transform the the hexadecimal string representation into a dimensional numerical format that can be used for calculations. We click Execute. And we can see that the dimensional value of Ether is 17.02. It is important to note that we are using the Gourley test network. We can verify the consistency of the result by checking it on Gourley Ether scan. Here we can see the result is 17.02, which is consistent when checked on the Gourley Ether scan, because we have configured the RPC node for the Gourley network. Therefore, we need to query the result on Gourley Ether scan. Let's discuss ETH get transaction count, which returns the number of transactions sent from an address. The parameters are the same as the previous function. The first parameter is the address, and the second parameter is the label. The first parameter is the address, and the second parameter is the label, which can be filled with latest, earliest, or pending transactions. Using the same method of numerical conversion, we can obtain the dimensional numerical format that can be used for calculations. It is important to note that the ETH get transaction count function queries the transaction history starting from the target wallet at the point of origin. By verifying the query on Gourley Etherscan, we can see the transaction history. In this case, there was only one transfer from another wallet to the target test wallet and no transfers initiated from the target wallet. Therefore, it is correct for transaction count to return 0. In general, state reading method is used to read the state of the Ethereum network. They achieve the corresponding state reading operations by sending the corresponding requests to the Ethereum node. As we can see, if the public key is exposed, the quantity of cryptocurrencies and transaction records are all visible without any privacy protection. But there is no need to worry too much, because cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin typically use anonymous addresses and the transaction obfuscation to protect user privacy. This approach ensures that transaction records are no longer directly linked to user identities, thereby enhancing user privacy protection. It is important to note that when performing Ethereum RPC method state reading, due to the immutability and anonymity of blockchain data, as well as certain security concerns, it is necessary to adhere to appropriate security and privacy protection measures to ensure the safety and legitimacy of the data. So that's all for today's lesson. See you in the next lesson.